Hello, after our formal introduction to programming languages, very particularly Java, now we are getting into the elaborate study of Java. So when we get into the Java, we should first discuss about the Java features. The first and foremost feature what we discuss or what we should be mentioning about Java is it is an object oriented programming language. It is an object oriented programming language. Sir, is this the only object-oriented programming language? Already we have studied Python. There also that is an object-oriented programming language. In that we have to understand. And also some of you would have not studied C and C++, where the evolution has been. The normal evolution will be C, C++, Java and Python. So nowadays, as some people are doing in school itself, straight away in the colleges, they use Python or Java. So the people who have not studied it need not worry. So they have to be understanding something about the basics, and it is very easy to adopt from one language to other if you understand the concepts. If you stick on to the syntax of a language, so you will be having some problem. So now when we get into the available programming language methodologies, so there are two major methodology which are considered as structured programming methodology and object oriented programming methodology. So these are the two things which are available, familiarly available, which we have to be discussing. And there are functional languages, the logical programming, and there are different programmings available. But for majority of software preparation, these are the two familiar methods which we are using, which we have discussed in the formal introduction itself. So now whether this Java supports what? So there are languages which support both. But with respect to Java, it supports only object-oriented programming. What we say is it doesn't support structured programming. It doesn't support structured programming. This is not supported. So now they say that structured programming is not supported by Java. It is not used in Java. So everything here in Java is going to be classes. Everything in Java is going to be classes. It is going to be everything which is going to come here. It is so if for those people who have studied C or C++ or even Python, you will have code. Within that, you will have class definition, code separately and classes separately. Now here everything here in Java is going to be within classes. So we say that there is an argument also whether Java is a completely object-oriented programming. Some people say the reasons we will discuss later. Some people say it is again perception. It is not a very important thing whether whatever it may be, how we are going to use Java, that is important here. But there is also a discussion whether it is an object completely object-oriented programming. But there are something which not related to object-oriented programming here in Java. Yes, there are some, but they have made it completely object-oriented programming because you need not use that kind of features. They have alternatives in object-oriented programming so that can be considered as a complete object-oriented programming. That is how the people argue. So now the object-oriented, when it is a completely object-oriented programming, so you should understand the difference between that is an structured programming and object-oriented programming. That is the structured programming, what we say is top down approach, and the object oriented programming we call it as bottom up approach. So now what do we mean by that? What is top and what is bottom? So now who does the programming? The programmer does the programming. What is on top of him? What the problem solvation is the top. It is the topmost priority to him. So from the problem what is in hand, and then if he thinks from that and goes towards how what are the required things to solve that problem, and then what we have to do with them. So that is what is the data. For example, I have to calculate the result of the students. So if that is the problem, so then I have to know about the marks and other things of the students. These are all the requirements. So if we have the marks, we have to check each and every mark, and then they have to be above 40, and then we have to find the total should be above 50. So some rules you can apply. So then you have to find the result. So what is the answer required, and what do we need to get those answers, and what we should be doing with the available things to get the result. So if a programmer thinks in that fashion, It is called as structured programming. So in other words, the object-oriented programming is a natural thing. How we solve problems is we normally learn what are all available. So we always do not, where rare situations, we use structured programming also. Suddenly we get some problem. At the time we think what we should be doing now. But for example, if you are coming for the college for the first day, you will be having, it is not a sudden problem. Normally what you will do is, you will learn where is the college and what are the buses available, whether train facility is available or not. These information you will correct, and on the day of, so you will be knowing everything about it. What is it? What is the college and what are all the transportation methodologies? You start thinking from what is available, and then you use any one of it whenever the problem has to be solved. So that is called as object oriented programming. So here I will say, what do we need? That is the question in structured programming. And here in object oriented programming, what are all available? And if you know everything is whatever available, then you will be solving the problem whenever the problem comes. So that is called as object oriented programming. That is why the bottom. So what are all available? So at the time of defining what are all available, the programmer doesn't know what is required at the time of execution. At the time of execution the program, so he defines everything. So he tells the machine, this, if this comes, you do this. If this is requested, you do this. So you define various things to them. So here, most of the things in structured programming, most of the things will be predefined, and with the predefined things, you give instructions only. So that will be, that is why we call C program is a collection of functions. That means collection of instructions. That is what we say. Here in object oriented programming, we say it is collection of classes. So everything is a class. So for example, a student is a class, a student result is a function. What we do, that is the method, or it is the property of, that is a work that has to be done with related to a student, result of a student, and then the student information, and then modification of our students promotion, whatever it may be, our students admission. These are all the procedures or the functions which are related to a particular student. So when we define here, what we will be defining, he will be defining what is a student. So here we straight away give instructions. In structured programming, we use only instructions straight away. Here we use definition and instructions. We use definitions and then only instructions. And then only instructions. So now, what do we define? We define what is it, what is a student, what is a bank, what is an account, what is a car, whatever it may be. You define everything to a computer, then you write a code, or at the time of requirement, you invoke any one of the method there. You create an object and invoke an object. So what is creation of the object? These are the things which we are going to see immediately now. So now when it comes to these two things, so you will be getting a 2-mark question, compare and contrast object oriented programming and structured programming, or what is object oriented programming and or what is structured programming, write about structured programming. These things may be a question, a 2-mark question, which is possible. So now that may be a 2-mark question. So then now we are going to get into, so we are not going to only see the features now. We will be going deep into this feature first of all, and we will do the basics required for to understand this feature, and then go for the next feature. So we have started with the Java feature. The first feature is OOP, that is with respect to object oriented programming. What is it? What kind of programming it is? That we have studied. And then to get some elaborate understanding of this one, we have to compare it with this which are available here and also which are available in structured programming, how they are different, that we have to understand. So for that, we have to understand data types. So we have to, what do you mean by data types? So every programming language or every program will use some data. Without data manipulation, computing is not possible. You have to do some calculation. Even you do some other thing, a result calculation or anything, you have to count the number of students. Some basic operations will be required. So you require data to be manipulated. So then data types, there should be a facility to use data within a program. So whenever we say what is a data, so that data means it is a primitive data type. So for example, we have to normally we understand, sir, we think these kind of things. What is this? Whenever within a program I say what are the data I am going to use. So before starting a program itself, I define what are all the data used. So that is called as static typing. So now primitive data types, the Java supports this also. That is where people say, as Java is having primitive data types, it is not a completely object oriented program. That is an argument normally placed, but we can contradict this also using wrapper classes, which we will be discussing later. So now this data is static typing. So why I use the word static typing here is, already the language what you have studied, Python, belongs to the category Python is dynamic typing. What does it mean? There we do not define what is the type of every data before writing a program. You just write some t is equal to 5, some name is equal to Rama. So you straight away use the variable name and then value. So the Python language takes according to the value what is the type. Dynamically it defines the type of the data. But here that cannot be done. So that is the difference. So Python is dynamic typing. And so again you remember, I would like to stop here and then remind you, in the previous semester or the first semester you would have studied Python. In the Python, what you will be doing, you straight away within a program you will write a is equal to 20 or name is equal to Rama. That is possible. But here it is not possible in Java. So what you have to do here, you have to say int a or int a is equal to 20. So you have to define this specifically. You mention the type. Without mentioning the type, you cannot declare anything here. So that is why we call. And also once you have defined it, some other type of value cannot be assigned. So whenever you say int a is equal to Rama, you cannot do. That is not possible. So once you in that is Python, what you can do is a is equal to 2, and after that similarly you can just change a is equal to Rama. That is possible there. So immediately the type of change that is possible in Python. That is a facility. Sir, what is the use of it? Nowadays they are discussing about why not introduce static typing in Python. That is under discussion. Why? These reasons are somewhat in a higher level of discussion. So you do not know it. So please understand that Python is better, Java is better. Don't have that kind of understanding. This these things, that is you should not say that it is better, something is better or something is not better. That kind of understanding you should not have. And then yeah, we will be choosing, a programmer should understand whenever necessary we will be choosing a convenient thing. So we should know about everything available. Don't say that this is not useful, that is not. In the previous class itself we have told, you should not think that as C and C++ is not in the syllabus, they have become an obsolete language. In the year 2021, that is the most studied language, C and C++. During Corona period, that is the language which is being studied at the most. That is the statistics saying. If everybody is studying, can you call it as an obsolete language? It is not like that. So please understand, this is that kind of attitude first stuff is. So you have to set a right attitude. You will know about everything. Whenever necessary, you will pick. In Tamil, they say,